Hey guys, welcome back to the Arthritis Podcast, official podcast of digital and creative media works, where each week we take something from pop culture and break it down to try to better understand it. My name is David.
Hi, my name's Ben. I'll get that eventually.
No, it's fine. I think hi is good. It's good because your reflex is to say hi because that was how you always say it.
Doing it for 2 years. You're not going to stop me now.
I'm trying to disrupt patterns, Ben. It's a marketing
Are you just going to throw out different intros every week?
I thought about that for the whole year, but I think people might get tired of it after about 3.
Also, you may start just sort of running out. Just start dropping some slam poetry.
I don't have like a ton of inspiration. So at some point when I'm rapping about my like dead auntie,
it'll be like, all right, David. I think we need
to cancel the podcast.
Yeah.
So it's a new month. It's a new.
Oh
us.
boy,
it's a new me. It's a new you.
New month, new us for 28 days.
For 2018.
It's my birthday tomorrow. It's
is.
gonna say that.
Yeah. It's
I'm turning 23.
Too old to be doing a podcast.
Much too old.
Yeah, we should have proper adult jobs by now, but it's fine. So that being said, it's February, and as everyone knows,
it's what? Sorry,
it's February.
February.
What did you say?
What? February.
What did
February. You say? I can't say it anymore. Let's just continue.
So
it's February, apparently.
Wait, am I saying it wrong?
You said February.
Is that not
February?
Right? Oh god, okay. It's going to be the whole British Australian thing. It's not important.
Yeah.
It's the month starts with the letter F, so this theme starts with the letter F, and the theme
that's good.
For this month is future.
Is that why January was Jite scenes?
Yep, it was.
Yeah.
It's going to be it's alliteration is what we're going for this year, and Arthritis Podcast. I thought to change it up every month should start with the letter of the theme. So
February futurism.
February futurism.
And last month was February fight scenes.
January giant scenes. So to kick this off, I have a problem, which is that I play too much Subnautica.
That's unfortunate.
So I thought what we'd do is talk about the futurism of Subnautica.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
No, it's a good one.
Really great game.
It's a bloody man. This has been a long. Have we done an episode on this?
We haven't done an episode. We did a video essay on it, like about 2 years ago.
We've done videos, but I don't think we've done a podcast on it. This is like a long time coming because this game was like
it's been in early access for 3 years, right?
Yeah, I played this game. The first time I played this game was when it was a terrain generation tech demo.
Yep.
Which was in like 2012.
Wow.
So what? 6 years later, we have Subnautica. To be fair, it's like literally just gotten better over time,
and it's totally
it's a very weird success story of Steam Early Access. So good job, Unknown Worlds.
You guys actually did the right thing.
Yeah,
you didn't do a DayZ.
Everyone was doubting them because they did this off the back of Natural Selection 2, which was like really good, but then kind of bombed. But this is just
incredible.
To the moon and then crashed and fell into an ocean planet. And then Subnautica.
That was good because they did a slingshot around the moon. Do you want to give the kids?
That used to be the story.
Can you move your mic back a tiny bit? Thank you. I was just looking at I can see when I look at you, I can see the waveform. And all I can see is like your plosives being like pepper in the microphone. So yeah, I guess what I wanted to touch on initially is like, could you give the person you listening
the hot take
of like just what the game's about, the basic plot as you understand. I know it's changed a few times, but like the basic context. I won't get
into the spoilers, but I'll get into the gist.
There will be light spoilers in this episode just because some of the text to talk about it.
Yeah. So you're a boy on a ship, and the ship gets destroyed. Something it changed. The intro stayed the same, but the reasoning behind it has changed.
And telling you why would be a spoiler, so we shan't.
So your ship is damaged. The game just opens up with you in an escape pod.
It's pretty intense.
Escaping. And then your escape pod lands. Well, you get knocked out by a panel, which is just horrible. It's health and safety violation there. Like that. I will tell you what. The opening in VR is terrifying because that panel rockets towards your face.
Oh, that's not cool. Is that like the old 3D films in like 2004 where the shark jumps out at you?
Yeah, it literally it feels like dying. Like it's rough. Anyway, we'll continue.
This is not related to the podcast, but the cat's clearly just taken a shit, and I can smell it.
Oh joy!
Yeah. Sorry,
I can't because I have sinus problems.
Yeah.
So you crash land on some ocean planet.
Yep.
It's just it's a moon. But it's a planet. You crash land on this planet covered in ocean.
Well, you don't really know it's a moon until a bit later.
Until nighttime, essentially. Yeah. And you see the planet.
And you go, it's massive.
You're like, that's a bit too big to be a moon.
Yeah.
So you're on a moon, which is just water.
Yep.
And you're in the space ship escape pod, and you get out and have fun. Everything's fucked. Your escape pod is like broken to shit,
And you just have to start.
You just have to kind of go.
Yeah.
And there's an AI which doesn't really help. It just kind of tells you that you're fucked.
It does that a lot. In the later iterations of the game, like the one I'm playing now, which is the full release, it does a lot of like nagging where it's like, you fucked up, guy. You gotta go
it's
fix
just
this.
like,
And you're
you're dead.
Come on.
You're probably gonna die.
Every now and then it's useful. Like every now and then when you're busy collecting materials and it goes 30 seconds of oxygen left and you're like, fuck, and you have to book it back to your ship or whatever.
But like the whole early game, it's just like you have a 0.3 chance of surviving.
It started to it does
like,
that a lot.
You craft like your first knife, and it's like your chances of survival have increased to
One of my
slightly possible
to
levels.
a bit better.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about that AI is later on it starts to criticize you for getting too comfortable. So when you build a really like I'm in the middle of building this elaborate base just for fun, and it's like one of the reminders that one of the voiceovers from the AI pops up on the screen. It's like just a friendly reminder that
You're
this
trying to escape.
this habitat is not permanent.
Yeah,
you do not
yeah.
live here. Do not get too comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I like that they give some flavor to the AI, and it comes into it a bit later with the story. But I guess what compels me about the premise of this is it's a civilization that is like, especially when you read some logs from some of the ship's crew. It's kind of a Star Trek civilization. Like a lot of the problems of like war and famine and stuff have been solved.
Yeah, so it's that post scarcity
Yeah.
like sci-fi. So it's very Star Trek's like the only one that's really done it well because it's not popular like nowadays.
It's
like,
really because it's too. I think it's too earnest.
everyone's too keen on everyone's keen on like the
Hunger Games.
dystopian
Yeah.
or the post-apocalyptic or the sort of like the downtrodden rebels like we have with Star Wars.
Yeah. You almost fucked that up. Like we have in
like-
Star Trek.
Yeah, but Star Trek has always been just like everything's fine, but here's just like a little pocket of trouble.
Here's a pocket of trouble because Captain Kirk's a cowboy.
Yeah,
And that's
for
kind of
for
fun.
reference. Me and Laura and Phil have been watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which is very good. I don't know why you hate it.
I don't hate it. It's just not as good as the new season.
No,
It's
I
weird that
agree
you're
with
not
that
watching new Star
because
Trek.
it's made in the 90s, but like
It's not bad.
it has some pretty good episodes.
I will say it's fun to see.
It's mostly like political drama, but
Which is
like,
my favorite.
I can get that. I can
I
get that. Some of the
fuck up with
episodes are
political
very good.
I feel like the older we get, the more that stuff really attracts us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess to me what's curious is that in a lot of video games, the future tends to be kind of three options, right? You've either got like your Fallout worlds where it's like everything is over,
so
it's
post-apocalyptic.
extremely bad.
Yeah.
You've got your Call of Duty where everyone has space guns and they're doing crazy. Everyone's a mech
Like
man.
industrial,
Yeah.
like military industrial machine.
Everyone's a bit. It's like Deus Ex. Everyone's a bit of a robot, and society's in upheaval. Or you've got apparently, for a twist, the Subnautica where it's like this scarcity-free world where it's exploration, but then you're dropped in a situation where suddenly you're asked to adapt and change.
There isn't much of that. Like I'm trying
Much
to
of
think the sort of post scarcity like video games, except for like
I think Horizon Zero Dawn touches on it a few times, but then it's
Horizon is different.
but it's implied. It's all implied that that's already gone. Like that used to be the
Horizon
world.
is like post
post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly cool. But yeah, I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing this kind of world building anywhere in games these days. Like about this kind of world. And that's curious to me because I don't think the market I think maybe the market for Star Trek people, like I think maybe it's pitching maybe to like 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds now. Like I don't think that the kids who are playing
like
Minecraft are
the most recent Star Trek game is Bridge Crew, which for a while was a VR exclusive.
which was basically just pitched to for YouTubers to have fun.
Yeah, and that's essentially just be on the bridge and like there's no real like the conflict in that game is just the systems. Like there's no
It's pretty much what it would be like actually working on a starship. You
yeah,
just
which
kinda
is
have to
actually
do your
what the
job,
point. Yeah, it's the point of the
which
game.
is pretty cool.
But yeah, you don't like Subnautica takes that sort of premise of this like very high functioning sci-fi society and then throws it into a survival scenario.
Yeah, I think the reason that works is because, so for those of you who haven't played it or don't really know the concept, basically like in this sci-fi world, your human type race, because we're not sure if they're actually human, they're probably
human adjacent.
they sort of have the ability to fabricate things based on materials, and they have tools that will sort of render those things into existence using the materials.
Yeah, it's very...
It's like they literally have a fabricator, like
a
in Star
fabricator.
Trek, where you put the thing in and you go, make me a coffee, and it makes you a coffee. Except you need to load resources.
feed it, yeah.
Which is cool.
Well, I think it also shows like the advancements of the society that you're able to put in alien sort of like alien components, alien entities, and it spits out human tech or human adjacent tech. Like you're able to go grab a fish and then it cooks the fish. Or the fact that you're able to get like a fish and then it goes, oh, I know how to get water from this fish.
Or even like alien material.
Like alien seaweed, and it's like I can make silicon or lubricant from this.
Glob, a gel sack that you put in and it turns it into an aerogel that you would use in like a spaceship wing. Like that stuff is so interesting to me because it implies that like the AI is doing a lot of this work. Like this.
Yeah, the AI
learning.
isn't. It's not just put in components that it knows and spits out like based on a fixed blueprint. It's clearly taking in just like data, material and then just like analyzing whatever it is and then just building based on that. And so it's like it's that next step where it's not just manufacturing, it's like the stem cell of research version of manufacturing. So interesting. Which is
like that in itself is a crazy cool idea.
Well, that's what fabricators do as well in Star Trek. They build things they just take generic level, they build on a molecular level. So that's like, it's almost as if the material you're giving it is like that kind of thing where it's just like you're just giving it raw matter.
Yeah, and then it goes, okay,
and then it goes and rearranges it.
Which is kind of cool because one of the most interesting parts of the world building and like the future ideas in this film is that, and
video game.
Come on, David, you can do this. You've been podcasting for 2.5 years. That I literally was like, it's a film because we talked about Star Trek. My brain don't work no good, so more. So one of the coolest parts about that is the vehicles that you build in the game aren't built for water originally. And this is one of my favorite parts of playing the game. So in the game you have like...
Except for the two ones that are.
Let's talk about that because as you get later into the game, maybe they're not.
Right, okay.
So what's kind of cool is... You know for a fact that one vehicle, the sort of prawn mech suit, it's called a prawn suit.
It's the prawn suit.
It's an exoskeleton.
It's 100% just like
it's a mech suit.
Yeah, it's for like space.
Yeah,
it's definitely not for water.
And you can go into the crash ship and you can find actual posters of it in space, and you can find logs where they're like talking about how they basically use it to repair the ship in outer space. It's a deep space suit in this exoskeleton. But when you land on the planet and you scan the fragments, you can read the entry, and it's like, yeah, well, it would work for underwater too, so we've reprogrammed a lot of how it works to work underwater.
Yeah, we've reversed the pressure.
Yeah, and the AI just does
being
that.
Inside out, it's outside in.
The AI just does that by itself.
Yeah.
There's no human involved. And so when you build it, it works underwater. And it's very, like, that's such a, it seems like a simple, like, oh, well, that makes sense. But what's really cool about that is what it implies is a lot. Right, so then when you build the sort of the Seamoth, which is like your one-man sub, and then your Cyclops, which is your big kind of submarine, the subtext there is that they also didn't exist in the context of
water.
Same with like the life pod. So maybe the Seamoth was like a one-man, fighter ship in space or an exploration ship, and then the Cyclops was like a human transport for space travel. But the cool thing is, if you think about this society moving through space, they land on a planet, they know how to build the Cyclops for space, and the AI goes, oh, well, this is a lava planet or a water planet. Let's craft one that's going to work here. Yeah. So it makes sense when you think about that, because a lot of people's, the decry for this game is like, oh, it's very convenient that your ship was like stocked with a bunch of like seafaring equipment. But I think that's
you just land on a rock planet.
Yeah, you're like fuck.
Dead.
You build a Seamoth and it just goes funk on the ground. But I think that's like totally missing the point of why this world is so cool and interesting.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And potentially like. And I don't know if this is like something that I've like read into the subtext because I've sort of been playing it a lot, It's so good.
I think you've probably played it more in like the past, like since release, than I've like ever played.
It's so polished. It's just I can't. It's so good. So from a gameplay perspective, they tie in a lot of those mechanics into like you have to go collect. It's very Minecrafty. You collect a resource, you go back, you build the thing.
This game came out, and this is more like just sort of like singing its praises. This game came out during that big like Minecraft hype craze, you know, when Rust was released and when fucking like Hurt World came out, when
it was
like
a big like
when like everyone was making Minecraft or like survival games. Like that was the key, because
survival
this
games
was
with crafting.
Yeah, because this was the crossover between DayZ mod and Minecraft. So this came out a bit before or around DayZ's standalone, so like that's where it sits, like right in the middle of that craze. And early on, this game ran like shit, and it was buggy and it looked horrible. So everyone, and it was from a team that was already working on another multiplayer game, so it looked bad. Like on paper, it was like early access, buggy, low performance. It's made by a team that has another game, and it's coming out with it's just like sitting on the hype train.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were able to take that, and originally the game was bare bones, like there was literally nothing else apart from just surviving, but they've kind of like slowly, and I'm pretty sure the AI wasn't even there. The only AI was just pretty 30 seconds left.
Yeah, AI is pretty, and like the personality, like, but when you think about, so this was going to be my question, when you think about that process of them developing that, as they've got the basic idea of the game, they're like, it's Minecraft, but it's underwater. It's going to have these elements. How do you then work, like, it's crazy to me that they came up with such an interesting, compelling premise for the story that ties into that.
I think
do you think that they had that first, or they had the mechanic? Like, how do you think that kind of transpired? If you had to,
having like been there since literally day one.
That's what I mean, because you've got more. You've got the timeline.
There's definitely like a couple of turning points of like the development of this game. So the first one was definitely when they made the Aurora explode. Spoilers: the Aurora explodes in like 5 hours in. Originally, like super early on, the Aurora wasn't even there. No, the Aurora's always been there. It may or may not have always been there. But for a while, the Aurora would just... Cannot confirm. Yeah, for a while, the Aurora would just sit there. And you couldn't go into it or anything. And it was just there as kind of like window dressing, and also kind of as like a compass marker. So one of the patches that they added is when they introduced the explodey Aurora.
Yeah, when it has the nuclear reactor detonates.
Yeah, and they add that's also when they added the radiation suit. So like if you're too, I think like most of the time you have to have a radiation suit to sort of stay in the
you can this is kind of a, it's kind of a spoiler, but spoilers in the title of the thing as always. But you can then go into the Aurora now, and you can repair the radiation damage.
Yeah, so
it's less.
They added that was added, and that was like the first out of water, or at least partially out of water kind of experience in the game.
Because you could find like outcroppings of coral that were just like tiny juts. That, like, literally like
you could stand on. Yeah, you could stand on like your escape pod. So like
you could build a
out of water was there, but like the game was like very much an underwater game at that point.
And it was horrifyingly like those early. I remember like when we talked about it, because we did a video essay on this one a while ago for the Potato Clinic series, and
man,
when we were looking at that concept, the thing that you kept coming back to is like the fear that the game taps into works every time.
Yeah,
and those early builds, when you go back and look at them,
oh my god,
you can see that they knew what they wanted.
Like
even though it's not there yet, you can feel like
even like the concept art is terrifying.
It's not okay. Like it's not fine with me.
Like they definitely knew what they wanted, like from the ground up. They wanted it to be this underwater game, and they wanted to have that element of sort of mystery. So the first turning point was definitely the Aurora exploding, because that was the first piece of actual story. Like that was the first thing that like would happen in game, partly regardless of player interaction, but also like it wasn't just like a premise. It like actually happened while you were playing, which I think is the key thing. Like the whole crashing, it's
not just a cutscene.
Like before. That's like that doesn't actually impact you playing the game because it's the opening, but the Aurora exploding like is an active part of the game.
Yeah.
So that was like the first time.
Wait, and it also changes the way that you play the game because then the radiation happens.
It becomes like a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So-
either have to leave town or just
or get a suit,
or get a suit, which usually requires leaving town. It basically means that you have to get out of the shallows, which pushes for the
nudges-
agenda of trying to get you spooked by underwater things.
Boy, doesn't it? Jeez Louise.
So that was like definitely the first turning point. I think the second one was probably the Precursor update, because that was the update that added. Because like when that came out, people were like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what the fuck is a Precursor?"
Right.
Like when they sort of added the. It's weird to say alien because everything on that planet is alien, but like the intelligent alien, like the
because you've got the
non-water monster alien,
because you've got the indigenous life forms which live. So for people who haven't played the game, there's 3 stories in the game. There's a story of the Aurora.
Yeah.
There's a story of the Precursors. Then there's a story of the indigenous life forms.
Yeah.
And the indigenous life forms is fucking buckwhale. That's like the creatures underwater. There is some buckwhale stuff that happens late in the game, but what you start to realize is that like the human element, you arriving, is the least, like, it makes the least sense. Everything else kind of fits together.
Yeah.
When you think about it, which we'll get to at the very end because I don't want to spoil the game for anyone. But like introducing more than one race of people, I could imagine would throw, like, that's kind of wild. Like in a game that was sort of like Minecrafty, and you go, oh no, there's a story.
The worst part of Subnautica is when you're just like, when you're like deep into it, like you're like 20 hours in, and like you're just kind of exploring, and then you come across an underwater facility, and you're like, I didn't build this. What is this doing here?
Yeah, it's very.
And you go up to it, and it's like a voice, and it's like, please insert blah 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 to access, and you're like, nah.
Like, I don't have a purple tablet. So.
Yeah, it's like, nah, go, just fuck off. See ya.
Which
you go back to the shallows, and you never go back, and it's like that is. Like, that was definitely the turning. That's like like that patch was definitely a turning point.
It took them a long time to fix that problem.
Oh yeah, it was pretty.
But I like, even then, like, one of the best things the game does is, rather than like, you can progress through the game by yourself, but you can't speedrun it because you have to play the game for long enough for certain events to trigger.
Yeah,
which is interesting to me because what that speaks to is that the developers really trust.
They really trust that you're going to be playing long enough.
Well, they trust
to get to that point.
They trust that if you're invested enough to want to find out what's going to happen, then
okay with the.
You have to have made enough progression that you're going to be able to deal with it. So you have to have been playing long enough. So you must be okay with playing. It's a weird loop where, like, if you're gonna find out what happens.
Well, yeah, even just the radiation.
Yeah,
the Aurora exploding. If you're playing long enough, I mean, it gets teased pretty early that the Aurora is going to explode, but like, especially coming from literally every other survival game where it's just like, you can go on the world and do whatever you want. Just punch some trees. Subnautica's like, no, this happens at hour 5. Yeah. And if you don't do anything about it, your home base is
super have to be ready for it.
And so it's like when you're getting those teasers earlier and you're like, yeah, I can probably go over and blow it up when I want.
You forget about it and you do shit. And
then the AI is just like, oh, it's happening tonight. You're like, say what?
Fuck.
It's happening in 10 seconds. You're like, what?
Like, this isn't cool.
And then it happens, and you're like, there's no way that big thing in the distance is gonna. Oh.
And you go, shit, this game's for real.
And then it blows up.
And you go, I fucked up. Which, like, even that, like, subversion of expectation, like, there's stuff later on. So, like, for example, and I'm not gonna, like, I want to try not to spoil, like, too much of, like, the end game, because a lot of it is very, like, experiential. But to suffice to say that at some point you come across a giant skeleton. And you go, oh, that's pretty big, and you scan it, and then you find the thing that made it.
Mm.
And then later on, you find one that's even bigger, which is what I sent you last night, and I went, fuck. Like, because there's, like, a scale of stuff in this game that you can deal with, like, scale-wise, there's, like, small stuff, and big stuff, and, like, Leviathan-sized stuff. And you go, that's fine. And then like, you find, like, a skeleton that is clearly, like, 5 times the size of the biggest thing you've seen, and you go, oh... is bad. But
you just there's just stuff in this game that's just big.
It's just big, and you're like, this is like
it's even worse than VR.
I can't process.
It's even bigger.
I'll say this. I've been playing it on I've got the new screen and it's running like beautifully. It's like I'm playing it at like 2K or whatever, and it's smooth, it's like 120 frames, and I'm playing it, and there, like, when I was playing it on my old screen, I was fine. I was like, Subnautica's scary. But the new one, like, it's too fluid and things like it
Things
just
look too real.
and there's some stuff in that game that like legitimately scares me.
Yeah.
And playing it now is tough as a fucking grown ass adult because like that stuff, if it was in real life, I'd be like, I'm never going in the water.
I've never been good with like snorkeling. Even like seaweed creeps me out. Like in
Seaweed's creepy.
yeah, I think like if you go back to our potato clinic video, which is fucking old.
So long ago.
Uh,
I'll try
we,
and remember to link it in the
yeah,
description.
like my experiences with oceans in general, it's like I've always lived in like coastal areas, but like
Yeah.
so like some elements of ocean creeps me out.
I mean, I suppose as like because you know you grew up in New Zealand for a bit, and then you were in Australia, and
Yeah.
you know, growing up in Australia, like we're on the coast here. I think there's an element like it might just be that Subnautica works really well if you live on the coast of Australia.
If you have that like attachment,
you have an identity
oceans.
to the
Yeah.
ocean and the beach, and you think of it as like it's like a fun like the beach is like a fun place to go because there's shark nets.
This is our Jaws. This
it's
is the Jaws of our generation.
It seriously is.
Yeah.
Because then I'm like, some of the stuff is exaggerated and crazy, but some of it you're like, oh yeah, that.
Well, Jaws was exaggerated and crazy.
Yeah. No, my point from all of that was going to be that as you progress through the game, what it forces you to do is to progress the tech you're building. So instead of what most, like Minecraft forces you through ability to access scarce resources.
Yeah.
So you suddenly need diamond because you need to go fight this creature to get the egg that does the thing to build
It's
the
like
thing.
you don't
to
even
make the
need
portal.
diamond. It's just like you just want diamond because the wiki says it's better.
Exactly. Whereas Subnautica, like, you don't necessarily need to build that module, you know, or build that upgrade or build that ship. You can ostensibly, if you're smart enough, play the whole game almost just with you if you've upgraded your oxygen tanks.
Yeah.
But like, you start to build the vehicles because it gives you like security. And like, you start to play into the world building with your mechanics of the stuff you're making and the stuff you're collecting. Not because like you go, oh, well, I'm going to progress. You're like, I want to feel a bit safer when I'm exploring.
Yeah, it's like the being like in terms of like how safe you feel, it's like, yeah, when you're just swimming around, even if you're in a completely safe area, just swimming in a big open space when you don't have like the speed and like the extra health bar of like the Seamoth or the Cyclops. Like there's
really exposed.
Yeah, there's like an element of like I just don't want to be here. And I don't know like how they pulled it off.
Well, I think it's because you start vulnerable and you slowly get less vulnerable. So then the minute you jump out of a vehicle and you're
It's
in
like,
just like open water, your ape brain is going wild.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we're in the open fucking Sahara. dude.
Having to replace the battery on the Seamoth is the fucking worst part of Subnautica.
Get that solar
because
charge,
it's on
dude.
the back of the bloody thing.
that
You have to get out and replace it and fuck around
Got to
with
get
batteries.
that solar charging unit, dude.
Oh.
No, that's not true. The worst one is the Cyclops because when it runs out of power and it needs 6
just
fucking power cells to
stops.
run, and you have to run into the back, and all you can hear outside is things moving,
And just creaking
and you're like, I only have 2 power cells. And you load them in, and you get like 10 meters, and you go, fuck. And you have to like get out of the ship and start to repair it, and you're at like 1,000 meters depth, and it's pitch black, and all you can hear is things moving, and then you see like the wisp of a tentacle, and you're like, the fuck was that? And it's probably just a tiny fish, right? Probably.
it might not be
Yeah,
though.
it's probably fine. No, but that like, I think this is a testament to like the way that the technology funnels into the gameplay, the way that we're talking about it. Like, you don't. It's kind of in our Darkest Dungeon episode, we alluded to this idea of like when a game kind of meshes its gameplay and world building in a really powerful way, and they integrate. You don't like when you play Subnautica. You're not like, I need to do this gameplay system. You're just like, I gotta get me that nickel so I can build the thing so I can do the because I feel unsafe.
Yeah.
And it's like Darkest Dungeon, like, man, this guy's going crazy. I gotta do something about it. I gotta use this spell. It's not like I've gotta min-max my health bar. Like
Yeah.
you get into like this weird flow with the game where you stop separating the dissonant elements of playing a game and playing in a world, and they just kind of become one thing.
Yeah, I think like there's so many survival games that just cock it up like so badly. Like they cock up their like technology
It
progression.
becomes like a spreadsheet kind of thing.
Yeah, like Rust and Ark, like in my opinion, and like modded Minecraft, I guess, are like the most like heinous examples of like power creep. Like I don't know how else to describe it, but it's like when you play Subnautica, when you spawn in fresh nothing, like you have like if you kind of just like take at face value what your character can do, it's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Like you have the fabricator, you have a health kit generator, you have like you can swim, and you have like oxygen tanks. Like you can
pretty much, if you wanted to, start building a lot of the end game personal kit.
Yeah, like you can kind of start pretty quick, and most of the stuff needed to like sort of progress in the game is in like sort of the general starting areas.
It's also
like
it's not resource. It's you find the location to scan the blueprint.
Yeah, like there's progressing in Subnautica isn't difficult. It's just like, especially when you're playing for the first time, it's like there's just like a lot happening, so it feels like
it's very overwhelming.
Like, yeah, it's more kind of like engaging.
If you want
because of that,
see that in action, we have a on the old channel, the DCMI Head Pie channel.
David,
you can see us and I play it, and I'm playing it for the first time.
Yeah,
and like just it's overwhelming.
Yeah,
and you can see me getting overwhelmed, and that's like such a like, you know, in Minecraft you go, okay, I'll punch a tree. And it's very like you just do the thing.
It's very mechanic.
Whereas Subnautica, like the minute you drop into the ocean, you go, oh no.
Like literally every time I start a new save game on Subnautica, I'm like, what do I do first?
Because
like it's not Minecraft where you have like a tech tree. Like you have quite a lot that you can do from the start. There's also no fucking recipes, so you don't have to fucking use a wiki.
You just open the fabric.
You just open the thing and it tells you what the fuck to do.
You hit your tab button and go to the blueprints and go, what do I need? Which, by the way, really... Well, I think that's smart for a few reasons, right? Because you've got a tab... Like, in the game, you have a tablet that you use for your inventory and all that stuff. And your blueprints and stuff. And your databasing. So, yeah, if you'd made the thing once, of course, the tablet, like your fucking iPad would be like, I remember how you made it last time.
Yeah, but the problems I have with Ark and Rust is that they start off very scarce. Like when you start on Rust, you're literally just like a fucking naked boy on like a coast, and you literally have nothing. Mm-hmm. Like you start like more naked than like fucking Daisy. And like the same with Ark. Like you start and you just have fuck all.
Yep. And
it's like, okay, that's fine, but like if you watch. And, like, this is kind of why, like, modern Minecraft is kind of, like, in there as well. If you watch, like, high-level, quote-unquote, high-level, like, Ark, Rust, and modern Minecraft play, it's, like, it's a different game. Like, in Ark, it's, like, you've started taming dinosaurs, and you've started leveling them up, and you're basically running, like, Jurassic Park, and you're flying on pterodactyls, and it's, like... That is so different to what you started off, where it's like everything was trying to fuck you up. And like in Rust, you're running around with like handmade AK-47s, building like giant fortresses filled with traps, and it's like you started with a rock. And it's like dumb. Modern Minecraft, it's like you have, to be fair, modern Minecraft is insane and different. I give it a pass for that. Yep. But it's like Subnautica, it's like you start off on a planet with high-tech equipment, and you end up on a planet with just more high-tech equipment.
Yeah.
Like there's
and you feel as unsafe.
Yeah, like this.
There's never a point, like even in your base, you're never like flood anytime.
Yeah, you're never like at the point where it's just like, just fucking tame the dinosaur, whatever, it's fine. It's just like, no, you don't just.
Also, like
the Reaper is dangerous always.
I think that's the other thing. Killing powerful creatures in Subnautica is going to expend like a ton of resources.
Yeah.
Like to fire a torpedo, you got to plan that shit for days. Like it's a whole thing. Like. You gotta have like it's like putting on a theater production. Yeah. Like you gotta have it loaded in the right silo and like time it right, and you gotta it's a whole And Brett's late, so the fucking cap is missing, But no, absolutely, and I think that when you look at those games that you were kind of describing, I think the biggest problem is like. The reason that DayZ worked, and this is, I think, what the whole industry fucking missed. It's like classic, it's like a Hollywood problem that's bled into games development.
Yeah.
Is the thing that made DayZ work wasn't the survival. It was the survival plus the fact that you never could really progress beyond a certain point. So it was always kind of tooth and nail, bare knuckle.
Yeah, even like the end game in DayZ was just like, you've survived for a bit and you still have guns.
And you had a few more bullets than everyone else.
Yeah.
You've got 5 more than everyone else.
Yeah.
That's it. You maybe have half a car built. Whereas... Ark is like, you're flying on a pterodactyl and you got a portal gun. It's like, what? Like, that's not... why is that interesting or fun? Like, the biggest threat in DayZ was that anyone could kill you anytime because a dude punching you is
with
like...
a pistol.
Like, he could punch you to death if you have a fucking rifle, if you just miss.
Yeah.
Like, and you had 2 bullets. That's like a crazy risk. And Subnautica's the same. Like, if you have a torpedo and you miss firing at that Reaper, he might just get you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I don't know, that to me is more interesting than, here's a spreadsheet of the way that you should play this game.
You have like other games, it's like they creep up to this end game where it's just like, all right, now the game is starting. Now you've got all of this stuff and you can start playing the game. It's like an MMO where it's like Subnautica. It's just like you just stay here the whole time.
Yeah.
It's just like you are always scared.
You're always scared because it's an alien world and you're just a man.
You're just a boy.
And
you're a very weird looking boy. Have you seen the player model?
Yeah, it's
not exactly the prettiest boy.
No, I tend not to look in mirrors in that game. But I think the thing that I wanted to end this part of the episode on is that on top of all of that, one of the best things that Subnautica does is that you can build bases and you can put furniture in and you can make it feel like home.
Yeah.
And in a world that is totally alien and is full of dangerous things, there's nothing better than like coming into your base and going into the room with your bed and the teddy bear that you stole from the Aurora and the posters on your wall and the desk and the microscope and the ornaments that you've collected across your journeys and just going in and just taking like 2 minutes to just enjoy it and relax. But it's that time of the week, Ben. What recommendations have you got? What have you got? What have you been watching or listening to or playing?
We're just finishing season 7 of Doctor Who.
I'm sorry.
And it's fucking atrocious.
It's really bad.
I love it when Moffat like spoils the climax of the episode in the opening, like the really important bit of like the really important companion character. I love it when he's just like, I'm gonna open with the climax. Do you know what episode I'm talking about? Yeah. Let's just open with the climax. We were watching it. I just walked off. I was like, nah, I don't need to see this episode anymore. He just showed the climax of the... Fuck you, Moffat.
It gets worse.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm watching this.
That's not a good recommendation.
No, literally anything else except for season 7 of Doctor Who.
Season 7 of Stephen Moffat's Doctor Who season. I was going to recommend something, but now I've forgotten because I think about how bad Doctor Who is.
Kira Benita is a fucking hilarious artist. They're just, been jamming to that.
I know what I was going to recommend. I've been watching literally nothing but Lindsay Ellis for the last week, so
her video Lindsay Ellis is
I've fallen down the hole.
Prime.
Yeah, she's a video essay person. She's amazing. I've watched a lot of her stuff twice. It's fun.
Laura is very keen on Lindsay Ellis
get it.
as well.
She's incredible. I have a problem because I just keep watching her stuff. That, and if you haven't before, I highly recommend the Reply All podcast. We talked about it before on Messenger, but Reply All is one of my favorite podcasts.
I've been really... They did a Bitcoin episode recently, and it was very funny.
See, this is when I'm like, Ben, you should listen to this. You'll love it. And you're like, you dickhead. But when you do, you're like, this is great. Right?
This is very good podcast.
Reply All. It's on iTunes, all the places. But where can people find us, Ben? Not Reply All. Where can they find us?
Facebook.
DCM Works Social on Facebook.
Twitter.
At DCM_works or #AFApod. We follow that on Twitter also. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, death threats, hate mail, that all goes on #AFApod.
All of the above.
Maybe not death threats, because that's super a crime, but everything else. YouTube.com/DCMworks. We're kind of moving away from YouTube because the money thing. So if you would like us to keep making the video podcasts, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're watching this and you're like, man, this seems okay.
The subscribe.
This isn't like a blackmail thing. We'll probably keep doing it, but it'll give me more incentive to spend more time on them. You'll notice a huge discrepancy between the quality of the Jack Sparrow video, the Jack Sparrow podcast, and the one last week. They could not be more different because one of them we were making money from, and then the other one was just, I guess, was nothing. So, yeah.
Patreon!
Yeah, it's fine. Patreon.com/DCMworks if you want to find out all of the topics for this year's AFA podcast per month.
I don't even know them.
They're going up sometime next week. I said that last week, but then I accidentally deleted my spreadsheet from my Dropbox.
Well, nice.
So I have to go through my instant messages to find those again. It's fine. So that'll go up sometime next week, and then you can vote on topics. We've already had a few patrons vote on topics for this month, and spoilers, we're doing one of them. Because you all basically suggested the same thing. So look forward to that. If you have any ideas for the future thing, topic-wise, hit us up on Patreon. You can also get access to our Patreon-only podcast, Open to Suggestion, where at the moment we're doing a kind of audiobook spoopy series, the Interface series. It's hard to explain. It involves flesh interfaces, bed constraint scenarios, Nazis, and somehow also
my favorite bit is where it's horrible.
a lot of it's very confronting, but it's incredibly interesting as a story. And then you get to it's kind of like an audiobook mixed with a podcast where we kind of reflect on it after the fact.
Yeah, we just kind of have a chat every now and then and contemplate
how bad it is.
Death.
Yeah, part 6 is
life.
going up soon. I've been faffing on the editing. I'm trying to get it perfect. And I just
busy.
Should just release it.
Been busy.
Yeah, and if you become a subscriber to the Patreon, you also get a whole bunch of back-end content that it's like backlog stuff, and you also get early access to video essays if you want that. And I think that's all the Patreon stuff.
All this garbage,
but it's
free.
The
for
only
$3.
way that we get paid now. So if you want to support us, that's the best way to do it. Become a subscriber. You get a bunch of dope stuff. It's like subscribing to Netflix, but cheaper. So do it. You know?
And it's like subscribing to Netflix, but there's just a lot less stuff. But
less
it is cheaper.
Stuff, and it's helping you boys. And that's what it's all about.
The boys.
Us, your boys. Have you got anything else, Ben? Or is there other places?
I think that's it.
Oh, if you want to buy a pillow, redbubble.com/people/DC.
If you want a pillow for some reason.
If you want to buy a pillow or a
you
t-shirt.
need to de-pill that pillow.
What do you mean?
It's getting pills.
Yeah, I know.
It's getting pilled. You got to get one of those pill removers.
I'm busy. So
Grab a...
Yeah, you can buy a pillow.
Yeah.
If you want, or a t-shirt, or some other cool stuff like I think they do like wall tapestries now. If you want, that,
oh god,
with that logo for some reason.
That's so weird.
Yeah. So feel free to do that. Otherwise, I'm at DC and my Hate Pie.
I'm at Literal Citrus.
We'll see you guys next week. You said your name weird.
I'm
at Literal Citrus.
I'm at Literal Citrus.
I'm at Literal Citrus.
Oh.